Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. I'd like to welcome you back to my shack here in the Pacific Northwest of Oregon. This is Ham Radio Live, show number 83. Hi, everybody. It is November 25th, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving 2020. It's great to have you part of the show. Thanks for being here. I'd like to invite you to please hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button will help us be found in YouTube for people who would like to learn about ham radio and get themselves on the air. That'd be fantastic. We would love to have you join us. No Code Tech. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah, if you hit the subscribe button, people who'd like to learn ham radio and join us on the air can find us. Hit the bell icon. You'll know when we go live, just like No Code Tech did. So thank you very much. That's an honor. I mean that very much. This show is really important. There are not going to be any QSOs on the show. This is more about helping people who are new to ham radio or those who are in ham radio struggling with a problem that we've all faced. It has to do with putting too much of our equipment on one circuit. Now, in the ham radio exam, there are some questions that revolve around this very problem. Let me share what those questions are, okay? One of them is here on the general. The question is, which size of fuse or circuit breaker would be appropriate to use with a circuit that uses average wire gauge number 14 wiring? The answer is 15 amps. That means a number 14 wire, which is not as big as a number 12 wire, is what you need to wire a 20 amp circuit, because a 15 amp circuit uses 14. So 14 is a smaller gauge wire, okay? Remember, the lower in wire gauge you go, the thicker the wire is. The bookend to that question on the FCC test is this one. It reads, let me get it up on the screen here real quick. My computer all of a sudden went to show you every single question I have here. Not a good thing. It's the question at the bottom. What is the minimum wire size that may be safely used for a circuit that draws up to 20 amperes of continuous current? The answer is C, average wire gauge number 12. Now you see the difference here. On a 20 amp circuit, you need wire gauge 12. It's a thicker wire than what you have here on the 15 amp, which is your typical bedroom circuit. Average wire gauge 14. Okay? So it's not enough just to throw a 20 amp circuit breaker in your circuit breaker box and call it good. Or go the extra step, put yourself the 15 amp circuit breaker, and then throw a 15 amp a 20 amp circuit breaker and a 20 amp plug-in and say we're done, because you still have 14 wire gauge running through your walls. You're going to draw too much amperage and you could cause a house fire. That's why you don't want to do it. One more question on the FCC exam in the United States is this one, related to the exact same issue. It reads, why is it unwise to install a 20 ampere fuse in place of a 15? Now, sorry, got cut off. It says 15 ampere fuse. The answer is given. A, the larger fuse would be likely to blow because it's rated for a higher current. Remember, we're talking about putting a 20 amp fuse or circuit breaker in place of a 15 amp fuse or circuit breaker. Okay. B, the power supply ripple would greatly increase. C, excessive current could cause a fire. Or D, all the choices are correct. The answer is C. Excessive current could cause a fire. That's why you don't just throw a 20 amp circuit breaker where a 15 amp was and go into your ham shack, unscrew all the plugins and put 20 amp plugins up there, because you still have 14 average gauge wire in there. It's potentially going to cause a fire in your house. Hi, Bergs. Welcome from Sweden. Wow. Great to see you. Always a pleasure, man. Whenever you come, I always smile. I'm honored to say hello to you. I can't wait to make a QSO to you. I'm really serious. I'm excited. Alan as well. Alpha Bravo 8 Alpha Sierra. Alan, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. Thank you. Wow, I'm just like, yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much for making my morning. Okay, so again, this is about what you need to do to make sure your shack is wired properly. So we've went over the test questions that relate to this exact problem. That's why they're there. The people who wrote the test in the US know that the importance of this point needs to be driven home. Most hams will, or new hams, will go and put their stuff into an extra bedroom. Well, that bedroom is going to be wired, or it could be an entertainment room or a family room, wherever. It's going to be wired for 15 amps. Now, it doesn't take much ham equipment to put together to draw more than 15 amps. Then you got a problem because you keep going down and popping the circuit breaker or replacing the fuse. Don't want that to happen. Bergs, thank you. Thanks, buddy. That's cool. That makes me happy. Thanks, Bergs. Okay, so that's the reason why the questions are there. Now, I'd like you to meet Daniel. Daniel is a person from Alliance Electric in Salem, Oregon. Now, Daniel and Leo came to our home a couple of days ago, rewired the shack for 2 circuits. I wanted one new circuit to be 110, but 20 amps of service. So it brings up one area, 4 plugs that I can use that are 20 amps. The second thing was to wire it for 240. So it's, able to handle an amplifier all by itself. So that 220 amplifier is going to plug right in. No problem. 20 amps of 220, we're rolling and away we go. No code tech. Remember we were kids and you couldn't use the toaster and microwave at the same time? Yes, now it's the HF rig and the oscilloscope. That's so true. Or the HF rig and an amplifier. Yeah. Try and put an HF rig and just about any amplifier that's sold today on the same 15 amp circuit. You're going to spend time talking for a few moments on your microphone, and then your lights are going to go out in the room that you're working in, and you're going to be going and popping the circuit breaker, replacing the fuse. You just don't want to do it. The circuit breaker and fuse are there to protect you from a house fire. It means that there's too much current being brought through the circuit. So you want to replace the circuit and make it able to handle the power demands that you have now with maybe your radio and your oscilloscope, or it could be your radio, your amplifier, your tuner, and all your other gizmos. Yeah, they can draw a lot of stuff. Think about this too. You most likely have a computer in your ham shack, maybe a screen or 2 in your ham shack. All that brings up the amperage. That's why you want to increase it. I'd like to introduce you to Daniel. Daniel and Leo came to our home from Alliance Electric in Salem, did a great job. Daniel's a licensed electrician. Let him tell you about what he did. Everybody, that's Daniel. He is our electrician. He's with Leo. Leo's right up there. He's hiding from us, but Leo's right there. And Daniel, what are you doing today for us?
Hey guys, my name is Daniel. We're here with Larry, and I'm pulling 2 circuits, 2 number 12 wires. One is gonna be for the radio room. Well, both of them are gonna be for radio room. One of them is gonna be 240 volt for the
amplifier, yeah.
Yeah, amplifier, and the second one is gonna be just for a plug-in system. So we're using a number 12 wire because it's thicker than 14. We need so the whole system uses about like 18 amps, and this wire is rated for 20 amp, so it's really good for the system.
So if you were to use, let's say you throw a 15 amp circuit breaker on a 20 amp circuit breaker on a 15 amp circuit, what kind of problems could that cause?
That could cause overheating. So because wire is thinner and it's rated only for 15 amps, and if you're pulling more than 15 amps, it's gonna cause wire overheating, and eventually it's gonna cause a fire, which can burn your house down, which you don't want to do.
Because breaker will trip off on 15. breaker will not hold more than 15 amp.
Yes, but if you're having 15 amp wire but putting 20 amp circuit breaker,
That's right.
that's when it's gonna overheat.
There you go. Yeah. That's Daniel from Assurance Electric. I think I called a different company. That's Assurance Electric out of Salem, Oregon. Daniel and Leo, both from East Europe. You can hear the accent. Came here in the 90s. They wanted freedom and a new life, and the stories were great. Man, I got to tell you, I can spend a whole show telling you about the stories from these two guys. They worked very, very hard. In fact, Leo's a miracle he's still alive. He had a 35-foot fall from a church ceiling and survived. It's an unbelievable story. The power of God's unbelievable. Anyway, my point is, don't ever go and just throw a 20 amp circuit breaker on your 15 amp service, because what you're going to do is potentially give yourself a house fire. We had a house fire here back in 2017, totally unrelated to ham radio. It happened because the people who built our home didn't tighten one lug nut from the outside service to the inside circuit breaker, meaning your power meter outside your home, to the circuit breaker box inside your home. Well, they didn't tighten the nut down enough. So over time, the bouncing of the garage door, because the garage door opener does, I guess, make some vibrations. Over time, that nut loosened up, and that wire, the main power wire from the outside, meter, came loose, hit the side of our circuit breaker box, and our house went up like that. Literally. The whole house that you see in the background here and the whole home had to be rebuilt. It took over 8.5 months to rebuild our home. So we've survived a house fire, barely. So don't ever mess around with this. If you use radio and you want an amplifier, if you know how to wire properly, okay, and you know your code, your state license, current codes, all of that, then do it with permits. Have an inspector come inspect it, make sure it's right before you use it, or use a licensed electrician. My advice, always do it and make sure you get permits and that it's permitted. The reason why is when you go to sell your home, you're going to want to make sure you can show on that electrical panel, yes, this was permitted. It was approved by the county on this date. Everything's legal then. Makes it simple. So always make sure you do it the right way. Don't take shortcuts, especially when it comes to electricity. Trust me, electricity. There's a reason why there's questions like this on the test. It's because they want to protect your life from your home burning down using all of this wonderful, expensive equipment. You don't ever want that to happen, okay? Way too much to happen. All right, question. Bergs, do you use earth fault circuit breaker? I think it's call in that in English. An earth fault circuit breaker, it depends on if you're using it for an antenna like a tower. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fine. For a radio, use a second ground. Don't use the ground from your home. Don't wire it to your home ground. No. Drive a second 4-foot rod in the ground, copper clad. That's fine. Doesn't need to be pure copper. It'd be expensive as heck. Just get a copper clad wire, drop it down 3 feet in the ground, clamp it, use a braided strap, which is also copper, up to your shack. Then wire everything from that one braid at the same place. Don't, for example, have a piece of stranded copper. Let's say this is stranded copper, okay? This piece of LMR 400. Let's say this is stranded copper. Don't ground it here, and then here, and then here, and then here, because you're going to get ground loops. Ground it here. Ground everything right there. Just everything goes here. Ground in one place only. But do one ground rod for your gear. Ground it, then your gear in the same place. Make sure that your ground strap from that single ground rod is as short as possible. The shorter you get that ground strap, that's the braided copper strap from the ground rod in the ground, the better. Always make sure it's the smallest, the shortest you can get. GFCI, ground fault outlets. Yeah, I mean, they're okay. I mean, I think they're good. I think there's no problem using those. That's fine. You can use that as a backup, but don't ever make it a substitute for using the right circuit breaker, wire, and plugs. Those three things are the most important thing to make sure your shack is wired properly. Because remember, most bedrooms in the US at least are 15 amps. You need a 20 amp circuit breaker to truly make it work properly, 12 gauge wire, and a 20 amp plug. Okay, so when you're all done, here's what mine looks like, just to give you an idea. Here is your 20 amp 110 service in our home now. I can tell the difference between this circuit and the others because it's the only 4-plug outlet in the shack. That's it. So I know which one is on 20 amps. Okay, so that's how that one looks. On my 240 service looks like this. Just one plug. There's my 240. Okay, so that's also at 20 amps. And just for new hams and people that might understand, why would we want to go up to 240? Right? I mean, you've already got 110, so let's say you bump it up to 110 and you get that 20 amp circuit. Isn't that enough? Well, yes and no. If you want to use an amplifier, if you want to go high power amplifier, for example, 800 to 1500 watts. And I know there's the Americatron 811H, which runs great on 110. You could make an 811H work on a 20 amp circuit with just about any radio out there. Should be fine, but it works more efficiently at 220, meaning that it's going to take half the wattage to run it at 220 than it does at 110. The amplifier will be more efficient, meaning it uses less power in, even though it's a twice high voltage, right? Less power to drive the amplifier than it does at 110. At 110, it's pulling a lot of watts out. It's pulling tons of watts out to try and make all those extra watts you need to be able to amplify your signal. That's it. That's why we move up to a 240 service, because the amplifier will work more efficiently. All right. What we got here? Alexander. Hey, our new ham in Great Britain. Alexander. Mike 7, November Kilo Oscar. Welcome to the ham radio community. That's just so awesome, dude. That just makes me so happy. Alexander, welcome. Thanks for coming. And congratulations on getting your license. That's so cool. We love that. I celebrate that stuff here because that's why I came. I came because I wanted to help people get licensed. Alex, congratulations, man. I want to put that up again. This is Mike 7, November Kilo Oscar. Alexander's in Great Britain, and he's got his call sign. Alexander, you're a ham. Well done, buddy. All right. Bergs, you're welcome. No problem, my friend. Good afternoon, Oregon State. Hello to my friend in Germany, my friend Gunther. Gunther, welcome, Wiesbaden, Germany. Thank you for being here. And yes, 230 volt and 60 amps. Very good in your shack. You run a lot of stuff. Yep. And this is from Gunther in Wiesbaden, Germany. 14 volt DC are more efficient than 13.8 volt. Yes. The reason why you want to move up to a 220 or actually technically 240 service over 110 is your amplifier works better. Okay. Remember, it's taking a smaller signal and it's making it big. Okay. It's increasing it from, say, 60 watts. Some amplifiers take 40 to 60 watts and make 1,500 out of it. All right. In order to do that, it takes a lot of power. So that power is necessary to run the amp. The amplifier will work much more efficiently at 240 volts, technically 220, but on a 240 volt service than it will at 110 because it needs to draw a ton of power. Well, if it has 240 volts to pull from, it doesn't need as much power to get it. That's why it works better. Last few questions. Kevin, hello there. North Staffordshire, England. Welcome. Wow, I'm very happy. Golf Oscar Union Delta Golf. Thanks for coming, man. Nice to meet you, Kevin. Thanks for coming all the way from Great Britain. My goal, by the way, when I started ham radio a while ago, was to contact two countries. That was Australia and Great Britain. Still don't have Great Britain. I have the hex beam almost done this weekend. Two wonderful people, the president, one of the folks as well, I don't know if he's on the board of directors or what, for the Salem, Oregon Ham Radio Club, are coming to help get that hex beam up because my surgery limits how much weight I can pull up. Anyway, they're going to come, they're going to tune it. I don't have to worry about raising up and trying to tune this stuff because they'll be able to help me out. So we'll do a full show on tuning the MFJ 1848 hex beam, as well as getting it up in the air and assembling it. So there'll be a video on assembling it. So if you want to buy the 1848, I'll show you step by step how you build it. Then we'll show you step by step how you tune it, and then we'll use it. Have some fun. Welcome, Ron. Good to see you. Victor Alpha 3 Foxtrot Union Charlie is in the house. Welcome. And congratulations. 10-watt QSOs can be hard work in the UK on a foundation license. Alexander, I've worked 10 watts coast to coast in the United States. Don't give up, buddy. 10 watts goes a lot better than you think. Hang in there. Remember Gray Line. Gray Line is your best friend. All right? You will love it. Yes. Hello, everybody, wherever you may be, and thank you for watching. Please keep this information in mind. Wire your shack the right way the first time. Don't run out of your house with smoke pouring out of it at the last second. Just do it right. That'll always save you money, time, and maybe your life. Please subscribe to the channel. Helps people find us that would like to get into ham radio. My joy in doing this channel is meeting all of you. That's the sincere truth. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Miss you. Glad to be spending some time with you today. We'll catch up with you next time. I'm going to talk to you about a project I'm working on. Let me see, just a second. I have a new project I'm working on here with an ICOM 7300 that I'm going to work remotely with solar power. Okay, so I've got the solar panels already. I don't yet have the charge controller nor the battery. That's coming, but we'll get that all set up and we'll work on working a 7300 on solar panel remotely. Kind of help you guys get in the field, get the radio on the air, and making some QSOs remotely. Should be a lot of fun. Plus, tons of stuff from MFJ, testing a few antennas out, and some great products. Next show, hopefully talking about ham radio beacons, how to use them, and how to really make the most out of them. I hope you enjoy it. Till next time, God bless you. Thanks for watching Ham Radio Live. We exist to help people get on the air, and those that are on the air, enjoy their experience more with some great product reviews. Until next time, have a great day. God bless you. An early happy Thanksgiving to those in the U.S. Goodbye, everybody.